Hey there. Hello, everybody. Namaste. Welcome. Welcome to my Thursday night tarot chat. My name is Sadhana, and I have just been listening the last hour to this most incredible interview with Science to Soul Tarot with Jen and Jonathan Daly from Hawaii about his spiritual journey, and just incredible interview. So if you get an opportunity and you don't follow at Science to Soul with Jen, go back and listen to this interview because Jonathan's journey is just truly, truly incredible. So welcome. Welcome here tonight. Tonight we're going to talk about my the tarot tag that I started doing over a year ago, and with the intention of just doing a couple videos, and have continued to create these deck combo videos, which I love doing. I find it is just an amazing way to begin to work with the decks and to also reconnect with old decks. And I'm going to take you a little bit through my journey of how I do that. So hi, Gayleen and Patrice and Sunny. Thanks for being here tonight. And everybody else in the background as well, too. Thanks very much for being here. So I wanted to just share with you some of my favorites. So I have done 19 tarot combo, so tarot oracle combo videos to date. And right here beside me, I've started filming the 20th one, and I have probably 20, 21, 22 all ready to go here. And as part of if you haven't ever seen one of these videos, what I do is I do little mini sample readings with the combos, and a lot of people haven't got really good feedback from it. So I've just kind of carried on, and yeah, here we are. So tomorrow, hopefully I will post number 20 with some really spectacular combinations. West Star Tarot, hello. Yeah, and I would be really interested because I know a lot of you have seen a few of these, and it's all in a playlist. I should have linked the playlist below. We'll do that after I go off. Do you have any favorites? Do you have any favorites or things that you wouldn't have put in combination, or anything that you remember? The other thing I'm not going to do tonight, of course, is talk about other people's tarot combos. So there's several other tarot tubers that have done amazing videos with tarot combinations. And I did my best not to just copy anybody there. So these are all pretty much my own thing. And none of them, the ones I'm sharing with you tonight anyway, so the Oracle deck and the Tarot deck are not by the same creator. They're different creators. So yeah, so let's get started. I want to start with the Guardian Tarot. And I'm sorry, I didn't reference which video this is in. So the Guardian Tarot by Beth Salonen is a deck that gives a lot of people pause. It's kind of a mysterious, challenging, haunting, I think haunting in a beautiful way, energy of a deck. It talks about the trees. It talks about the energy of the trees. And on a lot of these cards, there's a haunting loneliness and a haunting sadness to the energy of the trees. There's a few cheerful cards, but not a lot. It talks to, this deck really speaks loudly also to me anyway, to the preservation of trees and consciousness, being conscious about your footprint. And it's one of the things that when I'm looking for a deck that I really want to be, I'm just going to go there. I might turn the light off beside me. And I'm also extremely hot. I've got a cold pack underneath my feet. I'm going to digress here. Over 30 degrees today in British Columbia on the coast of all places. And I did take, Amber and I went for a swim just before this, but I did not manage to cool my body temperature down. And I don't have air conditioning and I can't have a fan on. So I'm really, really hot. So what I was saying is, if I'm doing a reading where I feel that I need to bring in that energy of consciousness, like real consciousness about the earth, then I'm going to bring in this deck. And the magical oracle deck that I paired with this is Soul Trees. And I have used Soul Trees in many, many deck combinations. And I think of all of the deck combinations that I have done with this deck, the very, very best and most powerful and beautiful, and at a moment I'm going to hold up just random cards and just show you, are these two decks together. Here's one more from Soul Trees. Hello to everybody that's coming in. The Moon Chariot. So yeah, I'm just going to put my glasses on and see what I see. That there might be a question there for me. I'm not sure. The tree beings, yeah, they're really beautiful. Whoa, please out some peppermint on your neck to cool down. Yes, I should have got some peppermint, but I'm not going to step away now. I'm actually like incredibly, incredibly hot. Okay, so what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to hold up 2 cards at a time and just kind of show you the guardian. And I'm going to turn off this light because I closed the front window because the sun is setting here. But then there's always, I don't want it to be too dark. That might be better. Yeah. So here we go. This is the guardian and Soul Trees. And they're just this beautiful, beautiful combination. And when I see these cards laid out on the table, I just feel incredibly peaceful, incredibly connected. It's like the 2 decks are just meant for each other. There you go. Just, yeah, they just make me feel. So another reason that I would pull out this deck combination is if somebody needed that, cooling energy, which I need right now, that kind of peaceful, airy energy. So if you are looking, so if people are also feeling too grounded and they need that element of air and wind, there's a lot of air in these decks. And so it can help to balance kapha energy. So if you know what kapha energy is, that wet, muddy kind of stuck energy, and these decks really help to get that flow going. So I see Ange is here. I'm not sure if I said hello. I have an ice pack underneath my feet, Ange. Yeah. And Annette, hello. You've had it in your cart for a while. So it is not an easy deck to work with. And it's one of those decks where you need to be patient with it. So here's a perfect example of a card where you just need to feel the energy of the card, right? It's not so much that this is the Page of Swords, but I look to the colors and look at the beautiful yellow behind that Page of Swords and that light, and you can feel the happiness and the energy behind the eyes of that particular one. And I totally get it that some of these hollowed out eyes in this deck are very, very difficult to work with. Like here's one for an example. So I've heard people say, ooh, that deck is way too scary. But that deck, you know, so one of the things for me is if you close your eyes and you go inward, there's no need for the 3-dimensional eyes. The 3-dimensional eyes are here to help us navigate, right? They're a sense organ to help us survive in this 3-dimensional world. But in the 5th-dimensional world, we don't need eyes. We have that internal radar that will support us and help us. And so if you can think about it from a different perspective, it might not seem so creepy. And it's really, really a beautiful deck. Now, Beth has created another deck, which I don't even know what it is, and I haven't purchased it. I think it's an oracle deck. And she may actually have a couple of decks. So this is the only deck of hers that I have worked with. And then, so I'm sure you guys all know that. That's the box. Comes in a really nice, like I like these shiffer boxes. They're great. The small shiffer boxes. And then Soul Trees comes in a very similar box, right? I am all about the small boxes. I really don't care for the oversized boxes. So yeah, so that's one of my favorite combinations that I've done. And if you have any questions about this, let me know. So when I am looking for that perfect pair, and I'm going to give you a sneak preview of a new one that's coming up in the next video towards the end, I'm looking for similar or complementary energy. Similar or complementary energy. And that affects everything from the texture of the paper to the color palette to the type of artwork, like the style of artwork, as opposed to if it's paintings or been drawn with a pencil, or whether it's cartoony, like all of these things. The more the energy can work together with the cards, with the two decks, I just find it really, really helps. And so this is another all-time favorite of mine. I don't know where this glare is coming from. So this is Tarot of the Hidden Realm. And this deck I have multiple copies of. I've gifted this deck to many, and I almost did this tonight. I think you're seeing crystals being reflected from somewhere in my house, actually. I've gifted this deck to several 20 young people, so anywhere from 18 to 22 years old, who are interested in learning the tarot. I find this deck is really incredible, and it really, I don't know, like I have a lot of young women in my daughter's circles who look and feel like the Fae in this deck. And men too, actually. Those beautiful long-haired fairies. And so yeah, so I think I have 2 copies myself, and I've gifted many copies of this. So what I was saying, I think it was on tarot, one of the tarot Facebook groups. Today, when I woke up, there was a thread that comes up all the time about recommendations for decks for kids. Often it's not specified how old the kids are, but this is a deck that I always recommend to young 20-somethings. And I was going to do that because there's a lot of choices actually in that thread that I completely disagreed with. And maybe I will do that eventually. So this is my favorite pair. This is the Messenger Oracle by Raven Fallon for Tarot of the Hidden Realm. And again, I'm just going to show you a few of these cards, and then I'll hold a few of them up together. And the magic that comes from this combination is truly, truly incredible. God, I love this card. This is an incredible card. And so these 2 decks, they know exactly what to say to each other. There is no problem in their communication. And the color palette is very, very similar. So let me hold up a couple of cards like side by side. Maybe if I go like that. It's like really really incredible. And so when I do when I'm doing the demo readings, I always do 3 cards. Not always, I've done other things in the videos, but usually I have 2 tarot cards and 1 oracle card. And one of the things that I have learned through my various, through my journey, is that we don't always need to have a big spread. We don't always need to have a big spread. And sometimes a 3-card spread, you can just talk about it on and on and on, for 15, 20 minutes. And if you allow yourself to dive into the artwork and to experience the card. Oh my God, look at this one. This is so beautiful. The wolf. Now I'm in the dark here. I'm definitely going to have to open the blinds or turn on the lights or something. Anyway, I'm kind of losing track of what I'm saying, but here's one more. So this is Tarot of the Hidden Realm, and I do not have the box here. That box is long gone. Well, it's actually in storage. And then the Messenger Oracle by Raven Fallon. This one here. It's an incredible deck, and it's both. The other thing too is that the decks that I love to work with the most, whether they're Oracle or Tarot, are so well balanced with light energy and dark energy. And I find that both of these decks do a really good job balancing the light and the dark. And Annette has a question. Annette says, do you feel that Tarot of the Hidden Realms would work with Sacred Rebels? I'm finding it difficult to pair. Sacred Rebels has, so in answer to your question, my quick answer is no. I don't feel that at all. So Sacred Rebels is a strong, empowering, feminine energy. And so I would need to think about that. I can, if you want to comment about, if you want to ask that question in the comments below, I'll do a little bit of reflection and then I can come back to you. So I don't actually have Sacred Rebels in my collection, but I know the deck really well because I've worked with it at the store a lot. And it's a favorite deck as well. The artist of Sacred Rebels is a local in this area. And I am more interested actually in finding one of the original paintings from the deck than I am in acquiring the deck. So yeah, so she lives up the coast from where I do. Yeah, pretty special. So those are 2 of definitely my top 5 combinations. Moon Chariot says, haha, I just pulled mine to shuffle 2 minutes before you brought it up. That's great. I'm not sure if you, actually, are you talking about Sacred Rebels or the decks that I was using? Okay. So the next one I'm going to go to, and this is a deck that I wanted to include this tonight because a lot of people, I don't see this deck a lot on TarotTube. I'm going to turn the light back on now rather than leave you and go open the blinds. This is the, I'm going to get the name wrong because there's so many different decks with enchanted and enchantment in the name. This is, oh, please help me. I'm pretty sure this is the Enchanted Tarot. And this is a large, large deck. So what do I have here open on the table? So here is Shadowland. Here is Enchanted Tarot, right? Really big deck. I would never trim this deck. I love it exactly like it is. I love the textures of the fabric art. I love getting lost in the pictures. And I feel the history, the culture. There's so much. And I actually don't use the guidebook. It's one of those decks where I just start to say, okay, and I describe. I do a lot of describing when I'm doing these kind of readings. And I describe the things in the corners of the pictures and so forth. It's the guidebook is nice. It's got different sections to it. I think it's got 3 short, different little descriptions. And let me take out of the box. And sorry, I don't have the. So this is the deck that I love to pair with it. This is called Soul Flower. Right? Yes, this is the box here, Soul Flower. And when you look at Soul Flower, you'll see it's got a lot of similar colors. And the short messages on Soul Flower at the bottom speak incredibly well to the colors that are in this deck. So there's also a larger guidebook that comes with Soul Flower, which is incredible. And I've shared it a few times on my channel. And saying that the messages on the bottom are definitely sufficient if you have a little bit of, what I want to say, not expertise, but you have some inkling about the medicine or the qualities of different flowers. And these are, maybe that's not the best pair to show you. Let me see if I can find some. What usually, I mean, I'm manually doing this right now, but in my experience, when I'm doing this randomly and the decks are shuffled, what happens is the colors end up being perfect. And there's just something about the messages. Like you cannot, it's like you can't set this up. So right now, the cards aren't shuffled. I'm not doing readings and the pairs aren't necessarily flowing together beautifully. But that never happens when I'm doing these readings. When I'm doing these readings, the pairs end up being just like absolutely perfect messages. Yeah. I think somebody is asking for a reading. I'm not doing readings tonight. I'm just talking about the process of some of the deck combinations that I've been doing. Yeah. So look at this card. This is just beautiful. So yeah, when I pull out this Enchanted Tarot, I feel transported, actually. I feel transported, and I love to see the flowers with it. So yeah, so that's one. Actually, I'm just going to leave that one. So that's Soul Flower and the Enchanted Tarot. I've had Soul Flower many, many times out for an extended period of time, and I really like to work with it. I have a lot of flora decks, a lot of plant decks, and it definitely is one of my favorite. I think next to the Druid plant, it's right up there. Definitely right up there. So yeah, comes in a tuck box, but it's holding up fine. All right. If you want me to answer a question, just put @integrative healing with Sadhana. I'll make sure I put my glasses on and share that with you. So that is 3 combos. I have more than 5 on the table here. The other day when so the Tarot of the She is another deck that causes people so many problems. Oh my goodness, like the number of comments and requests and questions I get about Tarot of the She are really quite extraordinary. And the energy of Tarot of the She, sorry, what do I want to say? The comfort level of Tarot of the She is about getting connected to the energy of the elements and to really tapping into the natural environment. It's about, and maybe, you know, when I'm looking at this Dancer 7 card here, maybe some people feel the same way that they do with the Guardian, because in this deck also there are some eyes that don't feel very of this world. And so, oh my God, the kids are going by on their skateboards outside. I see so much in these cards. And if you just look to the pictures, and, you know, when I remember the first time I was working with that card, and I just put my hands to the ears and then closed my eyes and then saw those blue birds overhead. And sometimes you can just do that. If you replicate what is going on in the card, it can, and this card might be really scary for some people. So there is what looks like blood pouring from the third eye of this magical being. But it's a really powerful, potent card. And look at the strong wind energy in this one, the 20th card. I love using this deck. I love the power of this deck. I love the symbols and the colors and the intensity of it. And the way that I work with it is just to start to describe the pictures. And I go through and I start. So for example, with this one, just now I noticed her hair is green. I don't know if I've ever really thought about the fact that her hair is green. And so I would ask her, why is your hair green? And maybe start to work with the card in a very personal level that way. And until I had had so many requests about pairing this deck with an oracle deck, I hadn't really thought about it. And a lot of people suggested certain oracle decks, and I was like, I don't know. Because with Tarot of the She, you want to match that intensity. You can't cool it off with a pastel-y deck. You need to be really mindful of that energy, and you want to work with it harmoniously. You don't want to fight against it. So it's actually a really tricky deck to pair up with. And I found that cosmic reading cards were the perfect. This is just a beautiful, beautiful pair. So cosmic reading cards are by Anastasia, Nari Anastasia. And I do not mix the two decks. So I also have her other deck, and I do not mix the decks together because I find that, look at this. See that? This is what I'm talking about, that intensity. It can stand up to Tarot of the She. It matches the power and the strength of that energy. And this card as well too, right? You can see that. There's so much strength in that inner wisdom. And so, yeah, so that's what I did. That's what I did when I was looking for a pair to this one. And a dragon, I do not have any of the dragon decks. And so definitely a dragon deck would work really, really well. So I'm going to show you some combos together. And you can kind of see for yourself how the intensity plays off each other. So really quite incredible. That oracle card is walk. Oh, that's so cool. So the oracle card is walk your truth, and the hanged man. That's awesome. Love that. Let's see if I can get you a couple of my favorites or favorite cards. Ooh, gosh. I haven't had this one for a long time in a reading. That's Temperance. And this one is sitting on top. So it definitely like matches the energy really well. I hope you know I hope you understand what I'm talking about, because like you don't want the oracle deck to overpower the tarot deck, and you don't want the tarot deck to overpower the oracle deck. You want them to communicate back and forth with each other. And so that's exactly what this Warrior 7 is. Incredible. Love this card. Here's choices. Sorry about the glare, you guys. Can't win or lose here. I mean, I can't. There you go. That's a little better. So if you have a favorite pair for any of these decks that I'm showing you tonight, let me know, because I'm really, really curious. It's taken me a while to find these perfect. Oh my goodness. Like, look at that. Look at the intensity there. And I showed you that one already. Let's find another intense card in this deck, because this deck, as you can see, has, I don't know if you can see, but there's quite a few cards that have like a red intensity to them, which you really need to have with the Tarot of the She. There you go. There's one, like shine. So yeah. So there's some other decks that are coming up, and so yes, and I have done the Crow Tarots. That I don't know which video the Crow Tarot was in. Actually, maybe I can tell you, because I have, your nerdy little friend here has a spreadsheet with all her videos on it. So the Crow Tarot was in number 5. And Crow Tarot, I paired Shamanic Healing Oracle and the Messenger cards. And I believe Ange said, how about the Winged Enchantment with the Crow Tarot? So the first thing that comes to mind with that is the, I don't know, I feel like the art style might be a little clash. The art style might clash a little bit, but I'll have to pull them out. I'll pull them out after this video and have a look. Crow Tarot and Winged Enchantment, because I definitely have both of those decks. So yeah, so this is one of my recent favorites. So what this process has meant is that if I acquire a tarot deck, and I'm looking at, because I have way more tarot decks than I do oracle decks, and if I'm looking for a pair for a tarot deck and I don't have it, then that means going shopping. And sometimes I do, and sometimes I don't, because I'm okay. Like, I don't always have to have a pair for every single deck in my collection. If I did, I would have no cupboard space left in my house. And already I have a sufficient, let's say, a sufficient number of oracle and tarot decks. So I'm really trying to limit the number of new decks that come in. And once in a while, I will purchase a deck just because somebody recommended it, or I don't know. Like there's a couple that came across in the mail this week, and I'm wondering why did I actually purchase these? I can't remember why. Maybe it was, I have no idea. And they were older. They're both older decks. And so obviously there was a reference to something in somebody's page. And I thought, okay, it's not too expensive, so I'm going to get it and have a look at it myself, because I feel that holding the cards in your hand is so very different than seeing it on the screen. It's like, it's not the same thing. All right, so I'm going to show you another one, but I'm just going to answer this question or comment from Ange. How about pairing the, yeah, okay, so that's what you did. So wing it. So what I'm going to do, Ange, is I'm going to get that, I'll pull that out and I'll have a look, and then I'll get back to you. The winged enchantment is full to the borders. You know, the only thing I would say no about is in the Crow Tarot, in the background, we have a lot of cards with New York City. We have a lot of objects from the three-dimensional world. And I find that the winged enchantment is very sacred. And the Crow Tarot is very kind of here and now. And so I would need to look at them side by side. It's not something that I would intuitively say, oh yeah, that's going to work, that's going to work. Alrighty. I think that's 4. I think I've shown you 4. Alrighty, so now, oh, and there's one more I was going to show, but anyway, that's fine. So this is Foxfire, the Kitsune Oracle. And the artwork. Who's the artwork by? Who is the artwork by? It's one of my, I want the name of the artist on the front, please. I know Lucy Cavendish is the, the artwork is by Meredith Dillman. Meredith Dillman. And I understand that a creator has envisioned a tarot deck. And I feel like I will be going through that process at some point. And because I'm not an artist, I'll be hiring an artist to illustrate my deck, our deck. But at the same time, I want this journey to be very respectful of the artist, because the artist needs to be able to work within the parameters of the creator's vision, right? So Kitsune, the Foxfire Oracle, is set in Japan. It's about the mythology of the fox. Fox in Japanese is Kitsune, according to the folklore of Japanese legend. And in Japanese legend, the foxes are magical beings that can transfigure. And they can transfigure based on need or various other things into human form, mermaid form, and a couple of other different forms. And you see all these different forms in the deck. And sometimes you see the transfigured foxes as humans with the foxes themselves. And sometimes you just see the foxes themselves. And the stories and the legends are really beautiful. And this deck has quite a bit of dragon energy in it as well too. And if you like the Japanese art and seasons and so forth, you love this deck. And so the foxes, so here the fox is in that halfway stage between the human form and the fox form. And I remember when I was in Japan, I remember being at a couple of different shrines that celebrated this particular, I'm going to use the word mythology, and being quite entranced by this. And I love the magic. The whole idea of the transfiguration really helps me. Okay, so the winged enchantment I paired with Lion Strider. Good to know. Moon Chariot, yes, there's, you know, the stories in this are really beautiful. I'm going to show you, I'm pairing this with Shadowscapes, but this deck would probably do well with, oh my goodness, I'm thinking like Crystal Visions Tarot is another one. So let me get Shadowscapes out, because, and so if you just look at the color palette of Shadowscapes, and then you look at the color palette of Kitsune, you can see how they just so beautifully fit together. So gorgeous, huh? Really beautiful. Yeah, so that's why I was saying Crystal Visions, because of the dragon energy. And I don't have a lot of dragon decks. And when I'm looking for dragon energy, I either go to well, there's a couple, but there's a bit of dragon energy in this deck. And I don't know, I love dragon energy. I'm really surprised I don't have any dragon decks. And I'm looking at this mermaid card here. So here the fox is transfigured into a mermaid. And I just wanted to give you an example. So here in Shadowscapes, we have, right, you see the water below and then the air is above. And so both of these decks are really also connected very much to, yes, Celtic Dragons is gorgeous, connected to the elements. And here, this 28th card is called Transcendence. So here, the fox is actually in the process of the transfiguration. And so this would just look amazing with any of the wands cards in this deck. Like, oh my goodness, like here's the Ace of Wands. And if you get a reading where you get the wands cards from Shadowscapes and the foxes as animals in this deck, it's just really incredible. Project Refined Life says, I used Enchanted Blossoms as my dragon deck. So those are, let's look at a couple more just because they're so beautiful when we can. Yeah, oh, let's go to a very, here's the 10 of Swords. Very few ready colored decks, ready colored cards in Shadowscapes. Right, and so we also don't have a lot of red in this deck. So, you know, it's a rare color in both decks. Hello, Michelle. Welcome. So yeah, so these are, I would say, because I went through my spreadsheet and I have done, oh, I didn't, there's actually not, it's not counted how many I've actually done. But I've done, and I've recorded 19 different videos with multiple decks, multiple tarot decks and oracle decks in each video. And so there's all kinds of combos for there for you to look at. But as I was going through each of the videos, not watching them all back, but going through my list, there's just certain, or I've been wanting to create new videos, and sometimes I forget that I've done a combo and I pull something out and I go, oh, that's so beautiful together. I need to put this one into a video. And then I go, oh yeah, I've already done that. Okay. They naturally fit together well. And these 5 combos are truly just They're right up there. Absolutely favorite. So I wanted to share those with you. Yeah. Isn't it just the way you get decks out on your table and you're just like, okay, I want to play. I just want to play. I want to play with cards all day. All right. So I want to give you a few sneak peeks of what's coming up in the next couple of videos. And I have, like I said, I have acquired a few new decks, and the Telluric Tarot was one of my new tarot decks. Shadowlands is fairly new. Star Spinner Tarot, and I don't know. I think I showed this on one of my Thursday night lives. I don't want to drop any decks, and these are all organized for my recordings. When I opened my Ember and Aura Tarot, I think I opened it live on one of the evening things with you. I was oohing and eyeing over the pink sides, and I knew right away what was going to happen with this deck and what I was going to pair with this deck. Because of the colors. Now, this deck is heavy on Christian symbology, and I'm definitely going to speak to that in the video. And in a nutshell, what I want to share is that when I lived in Japan from 1985 to 1988, and several summers after that. And when I lived in Japan, I did a lot of walking. I did a lot of visiting of various shrines and temples. And I had a few very transformative experiences where I would be in a temple or at a shrine, and it was almost like I entered into a liminal space. And it's really hard to describe what happened. But I've never been in a place in the world where I've had so many of those experiences where it's like you step into another world, and then you turn around or you go back and you go like, oh yeah, I want to go back to that garden. And it's not there. You can't go back and find it. And this kind of thing kept happening to me over and over in Japan. It happened in shrines and temples. It happened in the city. And I think, my only explanation is that my soul is definitely at home in that country. I've probably had many past lives in that country. And anyway, my point of this story is that it was in Japan that as a human, I transcended religion. I don't know that my language is very good there. I transcended religion. So I really began to understand that the spirit moves through and among and helps us to grow spiritually anywhere where we can experience the divine anywhere. And in a lot of the Shinto temples, the Shinto shrines, there's a lot. It's a pagan religion, right? It's an earth-based, and it wasn't an organized religion. It originally was just a way of life. And growing up with Christianity in my life, I began to, in these liminal spaces, see Christ consciousness as universal consciousness, as the magical energy that is around and among the Buddhists, the Sikhs. It's everywhere. And so My point in sharing this is that even though this is a heavily Christian, the symbology is heavily Christian in this deck, I don't experience it that way. That's my point. Sorry, long-winded. Took me a long time to get where I wanted to go with that. So when I saw this deck and I opened it up, I knew exactly where I was going. And so I'm going to use Hidden Worlds when I do the little sample readings with this one. And Hidden Worlds is just, well, you can see it's got lots of pinks and purples and blues. And there's so much magic in this deck. And so much energy in all these beautiful places. So I'm going to go and just, there's one more thing in the chat I want to see here. Michelle's asking about the way of the panda. Okay, I'll talk to that. And just you lived in Japan. Yeah, I'm sure. I think I lived. So I've shared with you a couple of times my different. I've done past life readings with one of my teachers a few times, and definitely I've lived in Japan and India, Korea, China. I've spent quite a few lifetimes in the Far East. Look at this card. Isn't that beautiful? So yeah, so that's a sneak peek of something that's coming up. All right, so I'm going to indulge Michelle. Way of the Panda. So I purchased Way of the Panda because I like to support Canadian artists. And Kim, sorry, the artist is not Canadian, the creator is Canadian. So Kim is Canadian, and she is a part of the Tarot Nerds group, which is founded by a Canadian who lives here. And I like Kim. I like Kim's sense of humor. She's young. She's funny. She has a really matter-of-factness about the way she reads and things like that. And so I wanted to support her in her project. And the Way of the Panda Tarot, one of the things going for it is all the white space. So if you like Naked Heart Tarot, it has that similar vibe. So it has the matte card stock, lots of white space with colorful animal images in the center. The whole deck is pandas, and I have done a walkthrough and a commentary on it, so I can put a card up for you later for that. And so Michelle's question is it worth it? Is it worth it? I've never used it in a reading. I would pull it out if I had a circumstance where I had, I don't know, no, like there might be the perfect person that the deck is used for. One of the things that I have used the deck for is to pull out certain cards as teaching cards, like the Devil card in the Way of the Panda has a very similar energy to the Devil card in the Way Home Tarot. And so I've pulled out certain cards to use as teaching cards. Everybody I have shown the deck to thinks it's absolutely gorgeous. The color palette is outstanding. But to tell you the honest truth, I've never put it in my basket to take to readings, and I've never used it at home here for one-on-one readings. So that's my answer. Janine, Pan-chan is difficult to say without knowing your tastes. Yeah, and everybody, Janine, who are you asking? Which tarot decks do you own? And Patrice loves Way of the Panda. Okay, so yeah, so we all have, right? We all have different, and that's not to say that I will never use it. You know that I use, one of my favorite decks is the Lily White Tarot. And the Lily White Tarot has a very similar color palette to the Panda Tarot. And that's might be another reason why I purchased that Panda Tarot, the Way of the Panda, because I love the colors. So perhaps one day I will pull it out and start working with it. But when you have more decks than you need, you don't use them all, you know? You don't use them all, except when you need them for teaching and so forth. All right, I'm going to show you one other sneak peek before we sign off tonight. You're welcome, Michelle. Panhan. Okay. Oh, I see. So Pan Chan, does anyone have a good recommendation for a good all-rounder oracle deck? Thank you. Oh, you're welcome very much. A good all-round oracle deck. Yes, I do. I have a couple that I would recommend hands down. And is my basket here? Oh, I thought it was on the table. You know what? My number one all round is Lauren Aletta's deck. And I'm going to go get my basket. Just hold on one second. There's my basket. So when I go out to do readings, this is my basket where I have usually, I don't know, like 4 to 6 tarot decks and 2 or 3 oracle decks. I have candles, incense, crystals, pendulum, usually a thermos. Yeah. So, and I'm always emptying and cleaning out and changing the basket. But this is the deck that I wanted to show you. And this is an older version of the deck. It comes from Australia. It's expensive. But man, oh man, this deck is, I think, this is one of the very best oracle decks. And the reason I think that is it is balanced between light and dark. The artwork matches and goes well with so many tarot decks. It's called the Connected and Free Alchemist Tarot. This one is Decisions. The other thing I like about this deck is that it has some really unusual cards. One of the cards that comes to mind is Feeling and Form. Look at this one. This one, the keyword is family. And the other go-to oracles in my basket right now are Roots and Wings. What else is in there? But I like this one better than Roots or Wings. And I showed you Soul Trees, but Soul Trees has a different energy, and it doesn't have this kind of all-round, like here we have a conflict card. It's matte too, so it doesn't shine, which is nice. So I love that. Look at this strength card. Absolutely stunning. And then my second all-round deck, but not, I don't know, it's not as, no, I'm going to say this is my number one recommendation for an all-round oracle deck. Unfortunately, it's an indie deck, it's expensive, and it's from Australia. So if you want me to choose a less expensive mass market deck, I don't know. I need to think about it. Definitely this deck is up there. For sure, that one is up there. And I will have to get back to you on that. Do you guys have any? Yeah, Oracle of Echoes. Oracle of Echoes, yes. Oracle of Echoes is balanced between light and dark. It's a little bit on the dark side. The only thing about Oracle of Echoes is that the artwork doesn't fit with as many different tarot decks as the Connected and Free Alchemist Oracle does, in my humble opinion. In my opinion. So let me know what you guys think about that. Oh, shuffling. Yes, you cannot riffle shuffle. There's no way you can riffle shuffle this deck. This deck is cardboardy and it's one of those, yeah, chunky. You have to overhand shuffle this deck. That is for sure. So that is a minus if you want a deck that you can riffle shuffle. Alrighty. Patrice. So Patrice says, I love the Afro Tarot. It's gorgeous and a good reader so far, especially like it because many of my family members are Black. Oh, that's good to know. Thank you for sharing that. Oracle of Echoes, I also have multiple copies. Love the deck. And I have put it away. I am going to purchase Tarot of Echoes for sure when it comes out. I'm way more interested in Tarot of Echoes than Tarot of the Abyss, but we'll see what happens if I get the black and white one too, because it's going to be a beautiful to match Anna's tarot deck with her Oracle of Echoes. I think I used it a lot. I used it so much that it was just like, I overused it for a while. So it's been put away for a while. So I really should pull it out again. But Oracle of Echoes is an outstanding. And I have done a video of my top 5s Oracle decks, and it's definitely Oracle of Echoes is in there. So you can go to top 5, one of my top 5 videos. And I'm sure I've got like top 5. I've got a plant deck, an overall deck, and a few different ones. So you can have a look there. Well, we've got some news. And okay, so Roots and Wings. I just want to, if we're gonna like go there. So this is my Roots and Wings. Roots and Wings is also not easy to shuffle because it has that, my copy has this excessive finish on it. So I'll show you. So you can do the forward shuffle fine, but then when you do the back shuffle, it gets all stuck. And then I can't do this, like I have to force it together. So apparently once upon a time it came without this finish on it, and I would love to get a copy without this finish on it. So this is a very, okay, so if I can fan it out, it's quite a soft palette. And it's very, very different than the Connected and Free. And I do like this. It does pair well with lots of decks, and it's in my bag. It's in my basket. So like, this is a cool card. The camping card. And it's one of those, like there's a lot you can read into the cards. Like here's the potential card. And so the lots of things you can read into this one. Yeah, it is definitely a good all-rounder. For sure. For sure. All right, I see my name again. I hope you and your family are healing after the passing of your mom. Yes. I looked at her picture today, actually, Michelle. I was watering plants, and I'm looking at the shelf, and it's like, I can't believe you're not here. It's crazy. We're all moving through and celebrating and living in her memory. And thank you for your kind words. Alrighty, so last one I'm going to show you is one of the pairs I have chosen for this one. It's soft but sticky. Yes, exactly. That's a lovely way to describe it. Rose petal finish. So yes, I would definitely recommend getting it without the rose petal finish if that is an option. Are you one of the many waiting on Bone, Stone, and Earth Flesh? It's printing right now and book approved. Well, Essence, I am. I am, and I have been quiet, not in the chats about what's going on with that deck. And if it ever appears one day, that will be absolutely amazing. Okay. Dust to Onyx mini version. I ordered some time back, but I made a mistake of sending it to my US PO box. And I haven't been able to get to my US PO box since COVID. So some point down the road, when the border opens and I feel safe to drive my car across the border, I will go to my PO box there. And the reason I have a PO box in the US is because it's a lot cheaper to have decks delivered there. And it's a nice drive. So it's not too far from Vancouver, and I can easily go there. But I have quite a few things that are piling up at my PO box in the US. Yes, it's very hard losing your mother. This is, so I don't know how many of you have lost more than, I'm just going to read Essence's comment. It's happening, like really happening, so you will get it. That's good to know. I'm not attached to it. If and when it comes, it comes. In 2012, December 2012, the mother that I grew up with, who I called Mom, she died. She died in December on the, in the Mayan calendar when it was the end of the world. She died on that day at the winter solstice, the winter solstice in 2012. And it was incredibly hard for me. I loved her so much, and we were so very, very close. And so that was 8 years ago, almost 8 years ago. And then the mother who I was reunited with, who gave birth to me, I met her 27 years ago, and she's the one that just died. And to go through the process again with a very similar death, both died of cancer, a very painful but short final stage, was really, really interesting. And a privilege and a pleasure, but equally painful to go through it twice, right? And I know a lot of people have stepmothers and lose more than one mother, but it's just to look at death of mother from the outside, and the process of losing more than one mother is really quite a trip. Yeah. So I am an open book if you want to ask me any questions. And I was there for her passage, July 13th. So I was there when she actually left her body, and just a little bit before she left her body, when she kind of woke up and the eyes opened, and I saw her. I saw what I think I saw her witnessing. So it was really beautiful. All right, so last one. I think we're past the hour mark here. So this deck is growing on me. It's definitely growing on me. Amber, come here. Amber, come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come see Tarot Tube. You don't need to bark at the window. Come here. Come here. Good girl. It's definitely growing on me. And I'm very pleased to say how it's growing on me. So I'm going to be using, so in the video tomorrow that I'm shooting, I'm going to be using Shadowlands. And actually, you know what? I'm just going to leave you hanging. I'm not going to tell you what I'm going to pair with it. I'm going to leave you guessing. I think that's a great way to end tonight rather than the sneak peek. So yeah. So are there any other questions or anything else that you want to share? Anything you want to say? Hello, Jen. No worries, Jen. Absolutely good. Your little dog is barking back at Amber. Yeah, Amber doesn't like to miss out on any of the fun outside. And right now the blinds are closed and it's hot and we're locked inside. And so we're going to head out into the fresh air and open up the house and so forth so we can both get out there. So thank you all very, very much for being here tonight. Come here. Come say hi to my friends. Come here. Come here. Don't be shy. Are you camera shy? You're not camera shy. Look at her pretty face. Yes. Yes, you show your pretty face. We had an amazing swim today. Actually, we've been going swimming like 4 p.m. is when we go down to the beach and we swim every day. And I love to swim too. So it's just so great. And today was so hot. So it was perfect. Yeah, absolutely love it. So anyway, I am going to say bye. And lovely to chat with all you guys tonight. And again, down below, make sure, if you have requests, like you can't find a pair for this one, I love the challenge. A lot of you guys have given me challenges. So put your challenge in the comments below and I will, I'll respond. And if you can remind me to look at Winged Enchantment and Crow Tarot, if you can put a comment below later if you remember. Otherwise, I'll do my best to remember and get back to you on that, okay? So thank you. Stay well, my friends. Namaste. See you soon. Thank you, Moon Chariot.